Mr. Depot. I'm going to call us to order for the City of Westminster Historic District Commission on Wednesday, September 7th at 7 o'clock here at City Hall at Emerald Hill. I want to call us to order with our statement of authority. The Westminster Historic District Commission derives its authority from Chapter 164, Article 9A of the City Code, which is authorized by the Maryland Code Annotated Land Use Article Division 1, Single Jurisdiction Planning and Zoning, Title 8, Historic Preservation. The qualifications of the Westminster Historic District Commission are on file at the City Administration Building at 45 West Main Street, and the file is open to the public. We're going to do a quick roll call to see who's here, and we're going to start to my left.
Chris Dory.
Krista McMasters.
Josh Ambers.
Kevin Wagman.
And Mark Depot.
All righty, so have you all taken a look at the meeting summary notes from August 3rd?
Yes,
How do you feel about them? Anybody make a motion?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as written for. When it was the date, please,
August 3rd.
August 3rd, thank you.
Second,
I second the motion.
thank you, Chris. All right, so all in favor?
Bye.
And none opposed, because I say all affirmations, so thank you. All right, let's hit our old business. You know, we do need to elect a vice chair. And I know there's probably some real busting at the seams to become vice chair in case I sleep through another meeting at some point.
I see a perfect vice chair sitting on your left.
Would you consider it, Chris? Sure. Great, so I heard a nomination.
So nominated.
Second,
Any discussion? It's a hard job. You have to sit here.
I know. No, it's fine.
All right. So, and no one else? Close the nomination.
Sure, it's the last chance before the door closes.
Take all the power and run with it.
All right, so I hear a motion and a second that Chris become our vice president. So we'll have Chris and Christine. It'll be confusing. No further discussion. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
Why didn't you look at her?
One person abstaining and 2 ayes. So you have it now. So be happy. How long does this term run? I think it's 2
years.
2 years. Whoa, that's a serious commitment. Glad we didn't tell you before we elected you. All right, fabulous. Welcome to yeah. All right. So this is the next item B. Kind of what I'd like to focus us on tonight, and probably the biggest reason why we're here is that I took our goals from August, reformatted them into our plan, figuring that I could talk to planning and zoning and above city administrator and the mayor in the language that they're already used to, putting what we want to do along with the tasks that they've already told us they want us to do. So I dovetailed in what I thought were our goals. I hope that you all have had a chance to read them over. I thought about them after I sent them out, and there's only one thing that maybe I would have added, and that is maybe an explicit list of things we're not interested in regulating. But I guess that's more of a how thing that can happen later. I've already taken the demo stuff from Chestertown and reworked that for our standards and guidelines. And I've already taken the Lidditz model of application for alteration and edited that. But this was the piece in between that said, what do we really want to do? And then those two pieces are how do we want to do it? This is what puts us in a regulatory position for alterations and demos. And this puts it in a, couches it in a language that I hope will be well received by folks who tasked us with preservation for time. The biggest question is, did I miss anything?
Going over this, I think it's everything that we discussed in our planning session and.
Do you think this is ready for prime time to ask our director of planning and our city administrator to review it and consider finding its way up to city council and the mayor?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some edits that would need to be made, for example, it says, a survey will be done by 2011,
Well, that's in the old comp plan.
right? And so I would assume that as part of this discussion, we're gonna update some of that and some of the plans, or maybe
So I'm glad you brought that up.
revisit the findings from that.
Yeah. I didn't actually change the fabric of the comp plan because I felt that was a different track. This is just complementary to the comp plan. However, getting a new inventory is part of what I think we need to do. I think I might have listed it under that section. And there's ways to do it.
Yep.
And we have worked on it before as a commission, literally feet on the ground, even before Kevin joined us. Long ago, between about 2003 and 2007, we met every Saturday morning and walked the streets of Westminster, filling out forms to update the 1,400 buildings we have in town.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a ton of work. We spent a lot of time talking to people because they wanted to know why we were standing there with a clipboard. And Dean Cameron came along to take pictures, and I hate to say it, we got like 400 properties in after 3 or 4 years, and just realized it was too big a project for us as volunteers. I mean, literally, it was just, we would put aside 2 hours a Saturday, maybe 3, and then go to breakfast, and it was just literally every single Saturday. It just was unrealistic. So we started thinking about ways we could have it funded. And at that time, 2011, it would have been about $40,000 to pay a company to come down and re-inventory. And frankly, that job is not that big a deal because it's already on the National Register. This is just increased documentation. It wouldn't have to be reapproved by the state. It would just go into their file. It would be something we would honor as an inventory that the city performed. And all they have to do is hire a team of professionals to come for 120 to 160 hours a week for a few months and follow through. I'm pretty sure the prices have gone up. But there are still companies out there who do this kind of thing. And to me, it's not an impossibility to get grant funds. The state used to have funds to do this. There are funds with the American Battlefield Protection Program. I think we could tap up because there is a battlefield on Main Street. It's never been included in the documentation of Westminster. I think it's a possibility.
Something to look into.
Maybe the city would kick in. And I think I even suggest that. I'll bring that from the city. But we can do that independent of this movement if we'd like. And increased documentation is always a great idea.
I think it doesn't hurt to explore it.
So, I think maybe in the next week or two, we should, if we have any edits we want to put in there, we should do it.
Can you talk to, excuse me for, being absent at last meeting, but just the timeline, not even timeline, but the steps, what we see. So we see this going, submitting to city staff, and then city staff take it to town council and the mayor for review. And then we ask that they meet with us to discuss the document. Am I understanding that trajectory correctly?
I can only envision as far as getting it to Sarah. I don't actually know what the next steps are, Mark.
So it would be the city staff. We look over it, provide some input, then meet with Sarah M. Hollis, the city administrator. And then from that point, she would then schedule it to a mayor common council meeting.
Okay, and is this on Sarah's radar at all?
Yes.
This draft was not submitted to her, just to Mark, because I kind of wanted us to feel comfortable before I started stepping up. But I think she knows this is where we're going.
Great. Do we have any assurance from her that she wants to continue to have the conversation and forward?
I can't speak to that. I haven't had that discussion with her. I've just kind of given her updates of what the Historic District Commission is working on, as well as the Mayor and Common Council. We will provide updates when I give my report. You guys are looking at providing regulations and looking at best practices for downtown.
Okay.
So again, it's out there, but just not in any detail.
So, Mark, I know you were swamped, but what kind of timeline would you and Sarah need, do you think? Just, I mean, I don't know if you can speak to Sarah's schedule, but what would the timeline be?
That I really couldn't speak to. We still have several other things we're trying to work on and move through, like parking study for downtown and sign ordinance. That just have been sitting there that we just haven't been able to move on.
All right, and is there something we can do as commissioners to begin the dialogue with anyone else, or should we sort of stick to this step-by-step program?
I would recommend we stick to the step-by-step program, working through Sarah, and have her process as to move it forward.
Okay.
So I'm sure she may have other ideas too. There's other committees and groups possibly that that she could involve or start with as well. So I think the wisest path is, again, having the staff to just go to Sarah and having her. I'm sure she has plenty of ideas about how she want to process this, or, you know.
So we haven't included the Maryland Historic Trust as the near regional coordinator for historic districts. Is there a place where you would recommend we at least loop them in?
That's a good idea. Wouldn't be bad to at least loop them in for suggestions or input. I think that's something we could do now at staff level once we have a draft.
Okay.
I think it'd be worthwhile to have some input, if any, even if it's just that we looked at it
Mhm.
before we went to the Mayor and Common Council or to somebody to talk about it.
So just slowing down for you guys, there actually is a coordinator on the staff of the Maryland Historic Trust who's supposed to be coordinating all 38 historic districts throughout the state. And long ago, they would actually come out if you asked them. So they came once and did a discussion about how various resources they have online and for historic districts and how you're supposed to like do a meeting. And one of the things was you're supposed to do roll call, so that's why I always do it, because they came out and told us to. And they have a newsletter, I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but I know they have a newsletter. And they're supposed to be around to talk to. And because we've always been sort of advisory, I haven't really talked to them about much. But at this stage, it might be good, you know, once Mark and Sarah say it's not an embarrassment, that we put them in.
When we go to submit this, there's a lot of, reference language in here, like we're modeling it on this city, we're modeling it on that city. I assume that you anticipate submitting this with all the attachments that were discussed in our July.
I think we can easily do that.
I mean, yeah, I think we should proceed with that. I don't totally understand what the expectations are for the final version of this document. So it's hard for me to suggest any other edits or language and things like that, but I think that once we sit down with Sarah and other relevant staff, that we can very easily make those. And I think saying that this is where we want to go, here's our references, as we've discussed, let's do it.
There was one town, was it Sykesville? That I kind of somehow blew past. Who did that research? Was that you, Jeff?
I don't,
I think they
it
have,
was-
we both looked at it,
Yeah.
they have something on their city page. Like a 1-page document.
Trying to think, I know I have all the references for everything except for that one. And that's why in August I was so blank. It's like, I think I remember talking about it, but I know I didn't really spend any research on it.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's as comprehensive as some of the other ones, from what I'm remembering 2 months ago, that's
So it wouldn't be horrible if we left that one out.
and my notes say that we talked about their sign guidelines and that we appreciated their map.
yeah, it's.
So I think this is a good question about exactly what kind of document is this, Mark? It's not, we're not influencing the comprehensive plan. It's just an addendum to it of some sort, or our action plan, what is this actually?
I would say it's more of an action plan. Comprehensive plan is the guide that's already there. This is more that, how do you want to implement the guide, master plan itself? And also, I think the concept too is trying to get guidance from the Mayor Common Council as to which one of these elements and if they champion, which ones they may want to discuss a little bit further. So I think that we're looking at that guidance as well.
Oh,
This is really that secondary, just then that's what the zoning ordinance is. Zoning ordinance is the action document to the comprehensive plan. I think that's what we're looking for. We're taking the comprehensive plan, moving it forward to implementation.
And Mark, the way that it's prepared now, you know, again, with the old language and then the future tense language of what we want to do, does this all make sense to you in
Yeah.
terms of what we need to move the
Yeah,
conversation forward?
Again, it's a guide. We went back in 2017 and Chris asked us for the meeting and planning commission basically reaffirmed what the goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan were. There wasn't much update. There was the downturn in the economy. So all these things that we could have moved forward back in that time, they still felt they were valuable. So there wasn't much change towards existing. Maybe could have been looked at a little bit cleaner for dates and times and things like that, but unfortunately it wasn't. But it still is the comprehensive plan. And again, dates to me aren't absolute because again, this is a guide. This is that master plan, the guide of the dates back to 2022 versus 2011. I don't think that's relevant.
Sure.
It's still the primary purpose of that goal and objective is what we're trying to accomplish.
Well, and to me, it's important to demonstrate that we're not being radical. We're actually working within what we've been asked to do.
Sure.
And actually, our action plan doesn't cover everything we should be doing. But I think it's doable what we have, and it's actually.
I would agree.
I think it's the direction that doesn't happen enough. A lot of comprehensive plans have those goals and objectives, but they don't have an implementation strategy. And I think that's what this is. It's that next step that's necessary. How do we accomplish those goals? You want to check them off and move forward to the next.
So ultimately, if the council agrees with these goals, we would put dates and who's responsible, and maybe even break it into smaller pieces and, break it over a couple of years. But for now, we really need to know that this implementation is what the council wants us to do before we start running down a rabbit hole of how we can do it.
Exactly. I agree.
What do you guys, do you need another look, or should I fire off something to Mark tomorrow?
I say you fire
Yeah.
off, let's get the conversation going.
Move on.
It's a little long.
No, I said move along.
Oh, move
This is
along.
like, I mean, we've been over this like 2 times now, so I think that it's just good to go and.
I mean, it's not gonna be chisels and stone. If we come up with other things we want to do, I'm sure we could follow a similar path. But this is very economic because it gets the whole thought process in front of mayor and common council. And hopefully we don't have to come back in a couple months and say, now we want to do this.
Yeah, especially with the attachments as references. Great.
Right, so this is important enough to ask for a motion on this.
So I will make a motion that Chair McMasters takes this document and edits as she sees fit, which is not much, and sends the finished product to you.
Should I say to Sarah as well, or just to you?
I would just say to me, now, does everybody, I apologize if it's okay, but does everybody want to take a look at it, provide edits and send it back to me and I can put it back, package it back together and send back out, or if you're okay with it is as written? So.
I'm okay
As-
with it as written. I think
Yeah.
Kevin is.
But you might have some edits for us to send back.
If there's anything else I want to add or something that, might.
We might have some
be
old
additional,
language.
But you've seen this.
I've looked over, yeah.
So are there edits that you think that you need to make before it goes to?
I didn't see anything glaring, I just haven't had that much time to really look at it, I just wanna make sure there's nothing else that could be added to it, that's really what I will look at it for.
Yeah, there might be some clarity issues or something that needs to be better spelled out.
What would your timeline be for that if you were to do that?
Wait a minute, let's get a second on the
Yeah,
motion.
I second the motion.
Right now we're talking.
Sorry, I didn't know.
I should have waited for the second as well. I apologize.
I sort of stopped mid-line because, okay, anyway. So that was, so my question would be then, if you want to make some edits before you moved it up the food chain, how, what kind of timeline are you looking at?
Give me, I think I can say by next Friday,
So we can have, okay.
I'll have, if there's any comments or edits, I'll shoot that out to the group. Otherwise, if it is as is, then I meet with Sarah on every Wednesday of the week, the following week, so 2 Wednesdays from now.
Wow, so Sarah could actually have it in hand and be considering it by our next meeting.
Yeah, and you know, I think if there's any chance of pre-conversation with Sarah, that would be the ideal communication flow that we'd like to be able to talk to her about it at our next meeting. I think that would be,
I'll offer that as a suggestion if there's a way.
that would be perfect. And I will couch that suggestion in soft language, if not like we expect to, you know, finalize or edit anything, but even to get a quick knee-jerk reaction of, I like this part we need to work on, and that would give us food for further development. What I worry about is that it doesn't get responded to for months, and, you know, I think we're all ready to move the conversation along in whatever way we can before that.
Okay.
It's a matter of invitation.
Yeah, exactly.
We invite her to come and give us her response. Ooh, I like that. Nice to work with Sarah, you know, closer. So, okay, so do we have anything else to add to the motion? Hearing nothing, all in favor? Yes, goes by consensus. Fabulous. All right, I will try and get disciplined on this and get it out tomorrow. ASAP. Shouldn't be too hard. I'll just put a cover on it and explain what it is. And we'll go from there. Good. So is there any new business? See none.
I did know, has anybody looked at the Medusa website, the state website for Maryland Historic Trust? And I'll shoot this out to you. It actually lists all the historic properties in the city and districts in the city. It's a website I've never seen before. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with that. Chris, I'm sure you are.
Smiling, yeah.
That's a very interesting tool, so what I'm gonna try to do is work with MHT to see if they can coordinate with their GIS department, because my guess is they had to be using some similar tax account number or something like that, that we could then maybe create a layer for ourselves that we could provide to the public versus having to go to a different website. So and we talked a little bit about that that could then build into something even better. But that was if anybody, I'll shoot Josh, I'm sure it's looking up. But I'll shoot that.
No,
out
it's
to you.
cool. I mean, I'm looking at the overlay right now.
And you can click on the properties and bring up that card information.
It's actually easier than the way I usually tell people, just put in the address and CARR and it'll also pop up easily enough. So that you kind of don't have an excuse if you know the address and you know that 4-digit thing, CARR, usually it pops up, but this is fine too, this looks more official.
So if I can type in the GIS, and that's what we use when we get phone calls about properties and what I can and can't do, it'd be nice to be able to click on it and say, oh, this is also historic, not only in the district, it's a significant historic property in the city. So.
Good. That's cool. All right, let's start with, do you have any reporting to do for this month?
None.
None,
None.
okay. I'm just working on this a little bit, other than that, no.
I would just share, I've been working with a McDaniel College intern and Lindy Nolte on a project we're calling carolfarmhistory.com. Anybody can go check it out. And it's just a photo archive and some oral history from old farms here in the county. Done originally with some firsthand research from Lindy, and it's just a little resource. I don't think so. If you did, I don't know about it.
I do know Lindy personally, so maybe I
Yeah,
found her
she
on
mentioned
Facebook
it.
or
Yeah,
something.
I think I mentioned it to you a while ago, so, but it is officially launched, it's live, it's pretty fun. So yeah, just carolfarmhistory.com, and we have some ongoing conversations with the Historic Society and others about continuing to expand to that archive, but. If anyone has any recommendations for us or other places to get stories and photos from, it's just a celebration of our past and exploration of fun photos and a look at the county, so.
Love preservation.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Oh, thank you for that. What's up, Kevin? Anything?
nothing, but thank you. I am interested in what Josh just said, because I don't know if people know, Carroll County is far above other counties in ag preservation. In fact, they might be lead in the state of Maryland, and that's a great feather in our cap.
Actually, it is. It's very much a leader, and honestly, it was a leader when I moved 25 years ago. I actually knew that as part of the reason I came. So I thought, oh, they're gonna preserve farms, they're very far reaching. We have anything?
No, I thought the producer thing was really interesting, that's about it, just staying on top of projects for the department.
Do we have any new staff yet?
I'll mention that offline.
Okay, all right. Well, then with that, let's adjourn, because I have one thing just wanted to tell you about, it has nothing to do with city. So I don't want to waste Zoom time. All right, has everybody had everything they want to say tonight? Can we move to adjourn by acclamation?
So be it.
All right.
It's carolfarmhistory.com, just as,